Hi Musica Franklin kids, Mr. M here. Today we are going to be talking about scale degrees. So what is a scale degree? Let me explain. Let's say I have a scale here, in this case C major. And C major has 8 notes in it, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I want to explain to you what scale degrees are, and I don't want them to be confused with the finger numbers, because normally when either me, Miss Sarah, Miss B, or any other Musica Franklin teacher are explaining what the fingers are, you usually see something like, let me hold on a second, put a text over here. You might see something like a second finger here. You might see a 0 over here. You might see a first finger, and then you might see a second finger. So the notes on the top over here identify what finger you need to use to make that pitch on the violin. So in this case, with this F over here, that's a second finger. With this A is a 0, so it's open A string, then first finger, and then second finger, and so on and so forth. However, with scale degrees, it just identifies the specific note in the scale in that order. So for instance, we're going to go step by step. So 1, C is scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this is 8, but we're also going to call this 1 because this C at the top is also the same C as the bottom. So we're just going to say this is 8, but also just to remind us this is scale degree 1 also. Now with scale degrees is comprised of whole steps and half steps. Especially in a major scale, we want to make sure that we identify the whole steps and the half steps in the major scale to make it easier for us. So let me draw this over here. So scale degree 3 and 4 are a half step. Scale degree 7 and 8 are also a half step. The rest in the major scale are simply whole steps. So let me do my best to draw this over here. So it would look something like this. So you may notice that scale degrees 3 and 4 are a half step, and scale degree 7 and 8, also known as scale degree 1, is a half step. Let's see if we can do a little bit of matching. So I'm going to leave this key of C major up over here, and you're going to try filling in the blank. I'm going to fix my screen over here to make it easier for you. So scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what this means again, that the C is scale degree 1, the D is scale degree 2, 3 is the E, 4 is the F, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, I want to emphasize that this does not mean that these are the finger numbers. These are just the specific numbers in the specific place in a scale. Now let's see if we can fill in the blank. Can you use these numbers to identify the scale degrees? Let's try one. So we know that the first one is a scale degree 1. Then this is a line note. And remember in one of our previous lessons at Musica Franklin, every girl born deserves freedom, or every growing boy deserves fudge. This is a line note, so this is our E. Our E in C major is scale degree 3. So this will be scale degree 3. Then our G will be scale degree 5. And last but not least, the last note is scale degree 8/1. So let me do a /1 over here. And I'm just going to write an 8/1 over here. So these are our scale degrees. Now let's do a little review from earlier in the video. Can you remember which scale degrees have the half steps and which scale degrees have the whole steps? Take a moment to see if you can figure it out. So this is our scale degree 3 and scale degree 4. And this is our scale degree 7 and scale degree 8. And these are our half steps in the major scale. I also want to point out that this could happen in any major scale. Let's take a look at A major scale, for instance. A, B, C sharp, D. Now think about A major scale on the violin. Do you remember on the A major scale that second finger and third finger are always touching each other? Well, that can help you identify what's a half step and what's a whole step. So the 2 and the 3 are actually fingers that are going together, that touch like right next to each other. And the same idea when we go on the E string, this G sharp over here and the A touch each other on the violin. If you have your violin nearby, if you want to try, go ahead and try. I guarantee you it's going to work. And then, of course, the rest of the notes here will be whole steps. Except for scale degree 3 and 4, and 7 and 8. Good. Let's do another exercise. Let's start from D. This is D major over here. See if you can identify the half steps. F sharp and G, C sharp and D. And again, this is kind of important to know because later on we're going to be talking about how these half steps and whole steps contribute to major keys. So I'll make a video in another time explaining major keys. And you're going to want to know what these half steps are, half steps and whole steps, what these look like. So half steps will almost always look something like this, either a V or an upside down V, something like this. And a whole step will be a square shape because it's more whole. Now you might think that these look like up bows and down bows. I want to be clear that these markings look very similar. However, I'm connecting the half step from one note to the next. If I wanted to say down bow, I would just do this over one specific note. I wouldn't do something like this to identify that as a down bow, because down bows are only over one note, or up bows, for that matter, are over one note. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, go back to earlier in the video to see if you can try figuring out the whole steps and the half steps. Thanks for taking the time to watch this Musica Franklin video. We'll see you in the next one.